Brad Young.
Hello.
He
Good morning.
He's with Harris, Dowell Fisher, and Young, and we brought him in today to talk a little bit about this decision that was handed down. New Jersey was the driving force behind this decision on a federal level about allowing gambling, professional gambling in their state. Now, Nevada is one of the few states that you can do that right now, but this, I mean, Brad, this just opens up the door for any state, including Missouri and Illinois, to be able to do this if they so desire.
Absolutely. In fact, Missouri already has about 3 bills pending that would address this issue. Now, the legislative session is going to end at the end of the week, but these bills will be coming back next year, and it would seem to be a foregone conclusion that we will have sports betting in some capacity in Missouri within the next year or two.
Is this going to require a lot on a legislative level to be able to make the necessary adjustments? And I'm just taking a wild shot in the dark guess here. It's going to be the casinos that are going to be the ones who are going to be authorized to do this, and not somebody who can maybe open up a betting parlor.
Right. In fact, the bills that are currently pending all have the gambling routed through existing infrastructure like casinos. In Illinois, it would also allow it at horse tracks. So using the existing infrastructure to do that. But the most important thing is that both the state wants a piece of the action and the teams themselves, because both the NBA and I believe the NHL and also professional basketball all want a piece of the action.
Okay, so I'm not a sports aficionado by any means, but are we talking about every sports, professional, college? And what does this mean for just the normal person?
Well, what happened was that Congress, the United States Congress, passed a law in 1992 that prevented states from allowing sports betting. And as Doug's already mentioned, like Nevada was grandfathered in, but it prevented states from instituting sports betting. But since this law has now been ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court's 7-2 decision on Monday, really there are no restrictions unless Congress chooses to step in. So in the absence of federal congressional action, the states are free pretty much to do what they want.
Did Nevada get involved in this, maybe filing an amicus brief? Because if I'm Nevada, I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, you're cutting into our action, and we have people who fly here and do this, and they spend lots of money and leave lots of money behind. They had a dog in the hunt, that's for sure.
They did, and they didn't have just a dog in the hunt, they had a dog in the bet. And in this instance, Nevada was against it, but every other state was for it. And I've read estimates yesterday that Missouri alone could see tax revenue of about $40 million from sports betting within the next 5 years. So clearly, the legislature is going to be seeing the pot at the end of the rainbow, and they're going to go for that.
It also indicates to me that the state's going to have to designate, does the money go to the general operating fund? Is it going to go to education? Is it going to go to roads and bridges? I mean, it seems to me that would be a decision that the legislature would have to make.
Well, that decision, Doug, has already been made. In the initial legislation that launched casino gambling, the enabling statute specified that any gambling revenue has to go to education. So that part is already established. So any money that comes from this would be earmarked for education.
But yet at the same time, the old saw is, well, that's fine. If we make $40 million, we'll just have back $40 million out of what we're already taxing and putting into education. So it's a net. I mean, it is. Sadly.
Even though it says it's going into education, it's really going into general revenue. You remember presidential election a few years ago, they used the term lockbox quite a bit.
Yeah.
There is no lockbox. If it goes into the government revenue, it's available for government spending.
And based on what you've said, it sounds to me like multiple states are, Missouri being one of them, they're ready to move on this, and they're ready to move on it quickly.
Yes. Illinois is ready to move, although Illinois doesn't do anything quickly, but they're also ready to move on this. But what's interesting from the Supreme Court is this is one of the few decisions that emphasize states' rights in the 10th Amendment, and you just don't see those kinds of decisions coming from the Supreme Court very often.
So how big of a stake will professional teams get out of this?
Well, that's going to be determined on a state-by-state basis. The estimate that I've seen this week was that approximately 1% would be earmarked for the professional sports. Now, the sports say that they need the money in order to ensure the integrity of the game.
Oh, please.
I don't know that
I'm sorry.
no
Please.
one believes that.
No.
No one believes that. But that was the PR position that I think the NBA came out with yesterday to ensure the integrity of the game. No, it's to increase your profits. Let's just be transparent about that.
Of course, and the NFL makes a fortune already from TV broadcast. Okay, fine. We've just basically stuck them in the back, so it doesn't make any difference. Brad, thank you so much for coming by. Always fun to hear what you have to say about this. Appreciate your expertise.
My pleasure.
Brad Young is with Harris, Dowell Fisher, and Young L.C. joining us this morning here on the Big